I would like to shout out Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Hello and welcome to The Broken Sword. Today we are looking at the differences in the character of Legolas in the Lord of the Rings books and movies.
Build me an army worthy of Mordor.
Today we are back once again to our series of book versus the Peter Jackson movie comparisons, and this time we are looking at another of the characters who is a member of the Fellowship of the Ring, everyone's favourite Elven Prince, Legolas. So, as I have done before, let's have a quick summary of each version, with today as starting with the book version of Legolas. Legolas is one of the Cinder Elves, who were the group known as the Grey Elves that came as the descendants of the Teleri, and had begun their time united under the King of Doriath, Eleuthingol, with Doriath being the greatest of the realms of the Sindar located within Beleriand. Legolas was the son of the King of Mirkwood, Thranduil, so therefore goes by the title of the Prince of the Woodland Realm. His history is shrouded in mystery despite there being many years of it, for the deeds he completed in his life before the time of the story of the Lord of the Rings is almost non-existent. Like most elves, he possessed great skill as an archer, along with having superior sight, hearing, and a great lightness of foot compared to the others in the Fellowship. Along with this, he is also more than capable of speaking not just Sindarin, but Sylvan and Westron as well, which was very handy in Lorien as the majority of the elves there did not speak Westron. And just to clear up, for those of you who aren't sure, Westron is the language that was spoken throughout the majority of Middle-earth by the end of the Third Age, the one that we tend to think of as English, although whether it actually is English is a whole other story. When Legolas first appears in The Lord of the Rings, he is described as a strange elf clad in green and brown, Legolas, a messenger from his father, Thranduil, the king of the elves of northern Mirkwood. However, that is pretty much it. So, for example, something like his hair colour is never actually specified. After his adventures with the Fellowship, he became considered as one of the stranger members of his race due to the great friendship that grew between him and the dwarf GIMLI, as this friendship broke boundaries between the two races that stem back many years, all the way back to the Elder Days. Legolas would be chosen to represent the Elven race as a member of the Fellowship of the Ring, and his addition was a wise one, for he possessed an everlasting sense of positivity that surely helped all of those around him. For example, he did not even hesitate to take the paths of the dead with Aragorn, when even a dwarf like Gimli was cautious to go underground here. He was also the first to realise that Durin's Bane in Moria was actually one of the Balrogs, which is something even Gandalf was not aware of to start with, so this can only add to the signs that he has such a great level of wisdom. Something that is quite interesting about Tolkien's addition of Legolas into the story gives a good insight as to why he is quite mysterious, and that is that originally Tolkien had intended it to be Glorfindel to be the elven member of the Fellowship. However, he came to realise that Glorfindel would have realistically been way too powerful to really leave any tension when things became tough. After all, Glorfindel could have stood a good chance with the Balrog in Moria, and in the end it would make for just a bit less of an interesting story. So that is where Legolas was brought into things, and sadly due to this, he was almost a bit neglected in his backstory because of that. It can also be interesting to note that J.R.R. Tolkien became frustrated that Legolas was considered to be pretty or ladylike. As Christopher said, he included this note written by his father within the History of Middle-earth series with the Book of Lost Tales Part 2. Long afterwards my father would write, in a wrathful comment on a pretty or ladylike pictorial rendering of Legolas. He was tall as a young tree, lithe, immensely strong, able swiftly to draw a great warbow and shoot down a Nazgul, endowed with the tremendous vitality of elvish body, so hard and resistant to hurt that he went only in light shoes over rock or through snow, the most tireless of all the Fellowship. Now we have summed that up, what about the Peter Jackson version of this character? Well, here, Peter Jackson was able to add a bit more in an attempt to basically flesh out the character a touch. Legolas is introduced to us all as a tall, blonde and fair-looking member of his race, with the wisdom of his age. He is even the one to stand up to Boromir, making sure that he knows who Aragorn really is at the Council of Elrond. Along with this knowledge, he also has his untrust of the dwarves, like pretty much all of the other elves do at this time. But just like the books, he gets past this to strike up a great and banter-filled friendship with Gimli, son of Glóin, with the two loving to compete for kills, as well as cracking a joke at the expense of each other. A great character moment for the movie Legolas is from the Fellowship of the Ring. This happens when Gimli is explaining how he asked as a gift from Galadriel to receive just one hair from her golden head, but she gave him 3. At this moment, Legolas gives a knowing look of just how significant the receiving of this gift is, which, if you would like to know more on just why Galadriel's gift to Gimli was so important, it is a video I really want to remake for this channel, so show this video some love and I'll bump it up the list of ideas. Legolas is also shown as a great friend throughout the trilogy, from defending Aragorn at the Council of Elrond, to then holding on to his Even Star necklace when Aragorn fell over the cliff in Two Towers. Then also to his iconic moment,
"What about side by side with a friend?"
Despite him being a good friend, that does not mean he follows without questions though. For example, when they are preparing for the Battle of Helm's Deep, he very much doubts their hopes, basically saying they do not stand a chance. Albeit he does regret saying this and apologises later for doing so. So now we have gone through those, what exactly are the differences? Well, if we first look at his appearance, in the book he is never really described in great detail. We do not know his eye or hair colour, only that he is tall and fair just like all the elves were. So, although some people can argue it is never stated anywhere, should Legolas most likely have silvery blonde hair? This idea comes from it being stated in The Hobbit that his father Thranduil does have that coloured hair, so making that choice kind of ends up seeming logical. But it is also worth mentioning the other ideas for this too. In the Fellowship of the Ring, after Legolas shoots down the Nazgul on Foul Beast above the Anduin, Legolas is described as, his head was dark, crowned with sharp white stars that glittered in the black pools of the sky behind. However, this seems to come more from the fact it is nighttime at this point, as opposed to directly talking about his hair being dark. Nonetheless, there are still a large group of people saying that Legolas should in fact have either dark brown or black hair. And this is down to that the normal hair colour for the Sindar group of elves is that colour, whereas blonde hair was almost solely just for the Vanyar. So although this could well be a change from the book, the definite difference of it is hard to settle on. Now, what about his physical accomplishments? After all, he is famous for having his moments in the movies that hardly anyone else could possibly pull off. He shoots a goblin in Moria perfectly between the eyes from a great distance. He slides down Helm's Deep stairs firing his bow, and especially taking Immumakil down on his own, even if it still only counts as one. Does he do anything like these things in the books though? Well, not specifically, but at the same time it is not out of the realm of possibilities to think those moments could have been possible for him. I mean, just think about it. If Book Legolas can shoot down a Nazgul on Foul Beast when it is high in the sky, then why couldn't he also kill a Immumakil too? Surely the Nazgul shot is more impressive if anything. Obviously though, we are not going to include some of the gravity-defying moments he has in The Hobbit. We will just stick solely to the Lord of the Rings for now. Because, well, yeah. So, now that we have covered that, what about his personality? The book version of the character is quite secretive and more mysterious, so little is known about him compared to any of the other members of the Fellowship. So when you realise it is actually quite unusual that we know more about someone like Gimli than Legolas, when in the histories of Middle-earth we tend to get a lot more information about the elves than that of the dwarves. Both versions of the character do like to crack a joke or two as well though, along with both having their initial distaste for the dwarves before later becoming close friends with Gimli. But the movie plays up to this bond of the friendship a lot more than the book does. The movie seemed to tell us that their friendship has become so great before the ring gets destroyed, whereas the book seems to hint more that it was during their travels together after the War of the Ring when the time is that they truly became really close friends. One of the biggest changes though comes from the book Legolas being an ever optimist, always seeming positive and unwavering in his support for his allies. Whereas in the movies we see the side of Legolas that will question his friends, as I mentioned previously from before the Battle of Helm's Deep. Overall, Legolas is a fairly well represented character in the movies, if not mainly due to the fact that he just doesn't have much of a fleshed out description in the books, meaning more can be done with him without going too far away from what the words in the book do read. If anything, for a character like Legolas, the book becomes more of a guideline than an actual script. But of course there are changes, like the quickening up of the relationship between Legolas and Gimli, which for one I can easily understand as to why that makes sense to do, but most aspects are kept safe, just like how impressive of a warrior he really is. So there we have it, a quick look into just how Legolas compares from the pages of the book to the screen of the Peter Jackson trilogy. Legolas was that character who made me want to take up archery as a kid, so I will never say no to doing a video on him. Another one I have as an idea for the future are all the controversies surrounding this character, and that's really basically just down to his lack of backstory and where he may be shoehorned in, debates about his age and things like that. So, as I said before, show this video some love and I will get working on all of these extra kind of videos for you all. Now, before my question of the day, I would like to talk about our amazing sponsor, Squarespace. If you are looking to create a website, whatever your skill level, Squarespace makes everything not just simple, but very professional looking too. It is easy to include a fully integrated commenting system, along with the use of their powerful blogging tools to categorize, share, and schedule your posts. Do you wish to buy or sell something? Well, Squarespace's powerful e-commerce is easy to set up, with you also being able to add simple to use extensions. These tools can help you manage inventory, promote products, ship items all over the world, and much more. You need something? They have a way to do it. So go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/brokensword to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So I hope you enjoyed this video for today, but now it is time for my question for you all today, which is, do you wish Legolas had a more fleshed out backstory? Do you think that as the elf of the Fellowship, the mystery is a good thing? Or that, no, I want to know everything about his hundreds of years of life? Or anything else at all, of course. Please let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section below. And now firstly, to quickly mention our other channels, which will all be linked in the description below if you would like to check them out, and then to shout out our patrons. Firstly, we have our Divine Power tier members of Kevin, Abram and Matt. You are all awesome. And a big thanks to our Fire Demon tier members of Nashith, Denver Steel and Gregory. You are amazing. And as well, I cannot forget the Wizard Staff tier members of John, Andrew, Bill, Evil Chameleon, Jennifer and Finmod Felagund to go with them. Every single one of you is a true legend of the Brohirrim. Finally, if you have managed to reach the very end of this video with me today and you have enjoyed what you've seen, then please hit that subscribe button on the channel and the bell icon too, so that you could be notified of future uploads. So thank you if you have managed to reach the very end of this video with me today. Please remember to drop that like on the video as well, as it really helps us with that YouTube algorithm, and I will see you next time on The Broken Sword.